I just want to thank you for joining us at How to Create Your Dream Career. We have 3 amazing women that was able to create careers of their dreams. I would like to acknowledge ACC Innovation and Entrepreneur Club, as well as the CSA Club. I would like to acknowledge our officer, myself, Audrey Mitchell, the president, as well as Luisa, the vice president, and Kanisha, the executive creator of events. And as well as I want to give an opportunity to Monica to introduce her club members. Monica, are you there?
Leave it to the Computer Science Association representative to not have the volume on. My apologies. But hello, everyone. I am ecstatic to be here. And I am Monica Lee. I have the honor of being president of the Computer Science Association. We have a very large board. I don't know if we want to name every single person, but I would just like to say we are this event means so much to us because CSA, what we stand for, we have a diverse group of participants. Our mission, and we like to think of our members as the pioneers of new technologies, right? So our mission really is just to bring the diversity, inspire, overcome, innovate, and disrupt. And I think that every member, each lady that's going to represent today, that we're presenting to you, stands for all of those principles. So we're ecstatic to be here. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. I am so glad that we was able to collaborate as a 2 different clubs and come together and provide an amazing event. How to create or land your dream job. It's going to be a lot of gems dropped, and I'm sure that I hope y'all have your baskets, pens, notebooks, and ready to catch them. As well as we would like to acknowledge Dr. Burillo for joining us. She will speak and say a few words. Dr. Burillo.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Monica. What a great day. Thank you so much for including me in this event. I want to, on behalf of all of Houston Community College, to tell you what a privilege and honor it is for me to be here and welcome all of you today. As you all know, March is Women's History Month. And what a better way to kickstart the month than through this event sponsored by our student-led clubs, the ACC Innovation and Entrepreneurship Club and the Computer Science Association Club. I understand as well that there's a large number of women in IT club that are participating today. So as a college president, I am so deeply proud of the leadership of the student clubs and for you, how you all came together to organize this event. As you'll know, Women's History Month is a celebration of women's contributions to history, to culture, and to society. And we all know that we stand on the shoulders of so many women leaders who made a path for us and who, through their vision, their strength, and their passion, helped change the world. I want to offer a few examples of some of these women, as we also today have a privilege to hear from 3 extraordinary women. Let me mention a few. Clara Barton, Civil War nurse and founder of the American Red Cross. Harriet Tubman, American abolitionist and armed spy for the Union Army during the American Civil War. We all know about Marie Curie, first woman to be awarded a Nobel Prize. Elena Ochoa, first Hispanic woman astronaut. Sonia Sotomayor, first Hispanic justice of the Supreme Court. Maya Angelou, American poet and civil rights activist. And so proudly, we can say all today, Vice President Kamala Harris, first woman, first African American, and first Asian American elected to be Vice President, the second highest office in the United States. From the days of the Civil War to current days, women continue to change the world. I have the honor today to introduce three remarkable entrepreneurial and innovative women who are changing the world and whom we will have the privilege to hear speak as each one of them shares their personal story, their life journey, and the empowerment and passion with which they live their lives and impact the world around them. So allow me on behalf of Houston Community College administrators, faculty, and our students, to all three of you, to express our sincere and deepest thanks to our distinguished panelists, Amanda Ducach from SocialMama app, Megan Eddings, CEO of Accel Lifestyle, and Landy Spearman, Change Leadership Consultant. I want to express my thanks for your support to education and to our students and for your participation today. We are indeed honored to have you here, and I look forward to hearing your stories, as I know the rest of the people in the audience today are, as you heard from Audrey, are ready to take notes and cues. I'd like to also close my welcoming remarks with a small poem I wrote for all of my students. So I'm going to take a point of privilege and share this with all of you while we're here. And I hope that this serves as an inspiration for all of my students who are here and all who are attending. It is called Dare to Rise Up. Dare to dream big and know that sometimes the road will be hard. Sometimes others will tell you to stop. But through every step, dare to rise up. Sometimes the journey may take longer than expected, but be patient. It will all work out. Don't despair. Simply dare to rise up. Each step you take will take you closer to your goals, and each step will take you closer to your destiny. You see, like an apprenticeship, every step, every experience in your life journey, it's meant to prepare you for where you will be tomorrow. Like an athlete training, building endurance and muscles, each step you take will prepare you for greatness. So don't forget, as you feel the pains of growth, with every step and every sweat, just dare to rise up. You are the architect of your destiny. So keep a positive state of mind. Look up always. Walk straight. Be brave. Be kind. Carry yourself with style, with pride, and your gorgeous smile. And don't forget every morning that you awaken to follow your dreams and to dare to rise up. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for allowing me to welcome all of you. And thank you to our panelists from whom we're about to hear. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Dr. Burillo.
I apologize. I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself. Wonderful. So I would like to introduce, I'm sorry, first and foremost, thank you, Dr. Burillo, for them kind words. Thank you for acknowledging all the beautiful women that has become and paved the way for us to even be in the place that we are now, even to be able to introduce the three beautiful, amazing women that we have on our panel list now. I truly appreciate it. And also, I love the word that you use, to architect. To architect is to build our own creative world and to allow others to come and join in the beauty that we curate. That is so true. And to move further along into the presentation, I also would like to introduce Megan Eddings. Megan Eddings is a Rhode Island native that started in biochemistry that led her to working in the medical equipment sales, which brought her to Houston, where she met her husband, Kyle. They enjoyed working out, but Megan did not enjoy the smell afterwards. So she started searching for a fabric that did not hold smell or bacteria. She was able to create a fabric that did exactly what she was in search of. Now she is the owner of Accel Lifestyle, and I would like to welcome Megan Eddings.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. It's so cool. I can't see everyone on the call, but it's so great to have you guys here. And all I keep thinking about just over the last 10 minutes is, man, if I was in college and had an entrepreneurship program or group to be part of, or like video calls or meetings, I probably would have started this journey sooner. You know, they always say everything leads up to something, and I totally agree, but I wish I had this back in college. So we're all very blessed to have this today. And for the youngsters on the call, it's really exciting to share my story over the next 10 minutes, and we look forward to Q&A at the end. So yeah, Megan Eddings, you're gonna hear me say a few funny sounding words because that Rhode Island accent still stays with me when I get excited. And so I majored in biochemistry, and then, as Audrey was saying, went to medical equipment sales. I worked in a lab. And so like my first piece of advice or lesson is, just because you major in something doesn't mean that has to be what you do for the rest of your life. The most important thing I tell everybody, and it's not easy, everything we're going to talk about, yes, I'm smiling, yes, I'm very positive by nature, but we put in the grind, we put in the work. And, you know, when people are out partying and all that, you're home grinding, you know, writing notes. Now, still go out and party, but, or maybe not now, it's the pandemic. But anyway, so my first piece of advice is, you know, don't just go to college, get a degree, and think you have to do that the rest of your life. I went to school for biochemistry, chemistry, just because I love science. I had no idea what I wanted to do going into college. It's a benefit of being young and not really knowing much about the world. So I knew I loved science. I'll major in it. And during college, my roommate actually passed away, and she was also the same major as me, of cancer. So I decided at that moment, okay, God, I hear you. I'm going to dedicate my life to finding a cure for cancer. So like hell or high water, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So I worked at Brown University in a science lab at UVA, University of Virginia. And there was one day I walked out of Brown and I was like, oh crap, what am I doing? I am way too outgoing to be confined to a room the rest of my life. I can only bedazzle a white lab coat so much. Just kidding, you weren't allowed to. But I wasn't using what I really loved: people, relationships, fashion, you know, even though I love science. And so I kind of went through a little slight depression. I didn't even know what that was back then, but looking back on it, I did, because here I am committing my life to, you know, cure something. And I'm like, I just can't do it because it's not fulfilling. I didn't wake up excited about it. So what brought me here to Houston, Texas, was working for Siemens Medical. I used to sell MRI machines, CAT scan machines, all those big pieces of equipment you see in hospitals. And quite frankly, a lot of people leave their corporate job to start their own company because they're miserable, or they're not happy with their boss or their pay. They're not feeling valued. I'm very fortunate to say, and I think I'm one of the rare ones, that I loved my job. I loved my boss. I loved the money. I loved the challenge, the relationships, but there just was something missing. And I didn't know what that missing thing was until I met Kyle. By the way, my husband loves when I bring up the inspiration for my now scaling company is his stinky workout shirt. But we got married 5 years ago, and I was washing his workout clothes. And we all know that kind of polyester wicking material that we wear to work out. It wicks away the sweat so you feel cool, but it holds on to that stink. Like you'll be showering in the morning, you kind of smell your arm. You're like, I know I showered. I know I put on deodorant, but your underarms smell on your shirt. Well, don't be embarrassed. It has nothing to do with you per se. It's actually the bacteria that gets trapped in the fabric. But when I smelled his shirt, I knew nothing about that. I was adding in the lavender scented pods, extra hot wash cycles. Kyle would put his shirt back on. And we had this term that I coined in the house. When he started sweating in his shirt, it started stinking. I'm like, oh, honey, your shirt's been activated again. So there was one day 5 years ago that I threw away his favorite shirt from college. And that was literally my aha moment. I was dabbling in how to create a fabric, but I quite frankly didn't have the confidence, and I was surrounded with fear because my parents didn't go to college. We grew up didn't have a lot of money at all. I was the only person in my family to go to college. So we were raised that you get a job or you go to like a technical school or college and you stay in that job, you max out that 401k, you go till you retire, and then you live on your retirement money. That's literally how my entire family was raised. But the smell of the stinky workout clothes drove me nuts because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I sell $3 million MRI machines and we can't go for a run and not have our clothes stink. We can't have socks that don't smell. So the problem it drove me nuts. So I'm going to fast forward. I know we'll do Q&A at the end, but it took me 3 years to invent my fabric, my Prima antibacterial fabric. And with my personality, I resigned from medical equipment sales in November of 2016. And there wasn't a doubt in my mind. I'm like, oh, within 1 year, Lululemon will be buying my fabric from me. I'll be on the cover of Forbes magazine. Like, this is just the way I think. And then like a year and a half goes by and like my cash is draining quickly. And like 2 years goes by. And finally, about 3 years, and I was able to file for the patent after all the testing I did. But so we officially launched actually August of 2019, selling t-shirts and tank tops with this anti-stink, antibacterial fabric, everything sourced and made here in the States. So we're sustainable and ethical brand. And then COVID hits and everyone, and you'll hear from Amanda and Landy, like everyone's job just went berserk. Everyone's life went berserk, and it kind of still is. And I remember in March of last year, it'll be 1 year ago next week. I remember thinking, okay, I see like the country shutting down. I had some friends who knew some friends in the city and they're like, yo, Houston's shutting down. I'm like, oh, I just launched my company. My husband's an entrepreneur, and who's going to be buying, workout clothes during a pandemic? So I was panicked. But then I was just open to listening to the universe and God. And someone brought to my attention the following week, hey, you have all this fabric sitting here. Healthcare workers are running out of face masks. Can you pivot and start making face masks? I'm like, yeah. And I came from 15 years working in hospitals. So right there, I'm like, I already have these connections. So within 24 hours, we had a sample of a face mask. I literally found patterns online, like YouTube, like Google. I love Google. I type everything in, like everything, like how to apply a lash, like how to blow dry my hair, like everything. And so we pivoted to face masks. I still have that original mask with like staples and like shoelaces. And since last March, we've sold and shipped over 600,000 face masks. And we're on contract with the US military. We've sold over 125,000 to the Navy SEALs, the Marines, and the Navy. And the Navy SEALs loved the fabric so much that I'm now working with them on developing uniforms, t-shirts with that antibacterial fabric, because they said when they're, in like a conflict zone, a lot of times you can smell your opponent, for lack of better words. You can smell the person you're trying to, avoid or find. So they're looking for some anti-stink fabric. So that's like my 10-minute overview. But as far as advice and guidance, I'm sure Landy, Amanda, and I could talk for hours. But my biggest I'm going to leave with 3 pieces of advice. when you start something new, or even if you're still doing something that you're not fulfilled, if you analyze the circle of people in your life that you dedicate your time to, and this might even be your mama, like this is the core people, really analyze, are they supportive of you? If you want to go out and start your own company, there is a lot of risk. And sometimes you're going to find the people closest to you who love you are the ones that are going to be the least supportive. And that's okay, because you just gently don't include them in business conversations. And from experience, you'll find now you have an open pie in your sphere of relationships, and you will be blown away with the positive people that you never thought you'd meet that are pies in that circle. So Amanda and Landy, I did not know them before starting this entrepreneurial journey. They are pies in my circle and people I meet through them. So that's my first piece of advice. Second piece of advice is fear. Everybody has fear. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your background is. I don't care who your family is. Everyone has fear, and that's okay. But when you have fear and you're telling yourself that negative chatter that, oh, I can't do it, oh, whatever, that's okay. We all have it. Just acknowledge it, push it away, and make one small step to get over that hurdle and that fear. And then my last piece of advice is always, they always say, you know, what's the hardest step in starting a company? And I said, just taking the first step. So if you're on the call right now and you're listening to us and you have these ideas for companies, or you kind of started dabbling in it, stop the dabbling and just kind of just go for it. You know, today when we get off the call, like do some things that have been hanging over your head, and just rip the Band-Aid off and do it. You have nothing to lose. I think that was about 10 minutes-ish. I didn't count.
Thank you so much, Megan. I think the key point that you definitely made in your top 3 was making sure that you identify with your circle and your support team, because that's the main important thing when starting a business. Like we was talking before we started, it was like some days you just want to like, I just don't want to do it. But to have somebody in your ear and be like, no, you got this, you got a great idea, keep going, is momentum and building to the career and dreams that you want to become and happen. So now we have Monica coming up. Monica, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am here. That was awesome. I would have to say, Megan, the point that stood out to me was everyone has fear. Like I think that's the biggest thing, that we have to push beyond our comfort zone. So acknowledging it and pushing it away, I thought that was really great, and I thank you. Okay, and I am have the honor of introducing Landy. Um, and Landy Spearman. I have to say also, I didn't acknowledge, and I'll acknowledge at the end, my advisors, Samir Saber and Dahlia Jamil. So I just have to say that. Now, Landy Spearman, um, this is an honor for me. Miss Spearman is an American businesswoman and a woman of impact throughout the city of Houston. Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and the baby of the family, Miss Spearman was born into entrepreneurship. Landy, a certified speaker, trainer, leadership coach, is also a Lean Six Sigma graduate. In addition, Landy has committed herself to educating and connecting the world through servitude, which is so awesome. Landy holds over 20 years of experience garnered from her work in Fortune 500 companies, in which she's partnered with C-suite executives and professionals, increasing efficiency, results, and profits. We can all use that, right? She's leveraged her diverse global experience to create her successful Organized Shift brand, to provide immersive leadership, development, and disruptive strategy consulting, and cultural change management consulting. Ms. Spearman is a data scientist, was a data scientist, well, I'm sorry, Ms. Spearman is a data scientist, and she's graduated from University of Michigan. She holds a BS in organizational behavior and management, as well as a BS in Spanish. Recently deemed Mentor of the Year by Houston Exponential, Mrs. Spearman is also the recipient of several awards for her woman-owned business, being a minority supplier to corporations. Please join us in welcoming Ms. Landy Spearman.
Oh my gosh. Hello, hello. Thank you, Monica. I'm checking thumbs up. Can you hear me clearly? Yes, perfect. Wow, I was listening to that intro like, who is that? Who are we talking about here? So the fact that I am following the Megan Eddings, oh my gosh, you all have no idea. All that personality, she's bottling up today behind those glasses, but just know I got my red glasses on for you, Megan. Okay. There you go. See, it's there. So thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I am just truly honored when I look at the fact that we all just experienced something called a freeze, totally unexpected. We're living through a pandemic. We are all trying to figure it out. What does that look like? I love the fact that I can share with you when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston in 2017 is when I had the vision that people were going to need to learn how to shift. The fact that we are experiencing so much change that is ranging from, our own personal, like how we're feeling inside, our teams and coworkers that we're working with, and then even our organizations. There are different levels of change and shifts that we're all facing. And so that's a part of the reason why I do the work that I do every single day. And again, I am just so honored. Thank you, Monica, for the warm welcome and introduction. So I'm going to share a screen. Listen, I'm going to talk fast. As she said, I am from Chicago. So bienvenidos, hola, thank you, welcome. For you being here, this is so not about me. This is so for you. And so even like coming in today, I was like, okay, where's my screen? Let me make sure I have all of this right. So can you all give me a little bit of grace if we have a little bit of technical challenges? Is everybody okay with that? A little bit of grace? I'm just asking in advance because, we're figuring this thing out. So you should see a screen that has thumbs up. Amanda, thank you, my dear. Yes, how to create or land a career of your dreams. Gracias. Okay, sorry if I go back and forth between English and Spanish. I'm just feeling it today. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this in my time. So I probably got about 8 minutes left. I'm gonna go fast, Monica, okay? All right, so when you think about where you are today, I want you to close your eyes for a second first. Let's just start with you closing your eyes. Like think about your current state, not where you wanna be, not where you wanna be in 5 years, 10 years at the end of this year. Where are you currently? I want you to think about that. And I want you to acknowledge for yourself that it's taken something for you to get here. Open your eyes. I want to remind you that when you're thinking about your feature or all the things that you've done or want to do, start with where you are. Be very clear on your skills and strengths for where you are, who you are. Acknowledge the fact that we all have fears. I'm such a human. I have fears that come up constantly, just as Megan spoke about. This is a real thing. Just because I've, done projects that are pretty big, I think, or work with some of the entrepreneurs right here in the city that continue to blow my mind, or all across the country. I'm actually working on some global stuff now that I'm super excited about because hopefully I'll get to use my Spanish again. But I think about where I started. So I just show you kind of a variety of who I am and where I've been, because it starts with where you are today and acknowledging the fact that this might not be where you end up 5 or 10 years from now. And guess what? That's okay. Why? Because you get to shift. Can y'all say that with me? Shift, shift. Can I get a shift? Okay, shift. All right. So I'm going to the next one. So this is just giving you a visual of some of the rooms that I've been in, some of the places that I have been committed to showing up big. And when I say show up big, I'm not saying showing up as if though I got it all together and, I'm not afraid. This is, going from people who are Gen Z, who will tell you really how they feel. They swipe left, they delete, and will block you quickly. So from the bottom left there, working at the ION, I've done a lot of work in the innovation and technology space that ranges all the way from, as I said, high school, college, and even some of the multi-million-dollar companies that I've been an executive advisor for, standing on stages, speaking to crowds and audiences across the country. Being here involved right here at the level of making sure that I'm sewing into women who are diverse in all across the board from different sectors. I'm bringing who I am, and soon to be, we'll be doing that in the book, The 48 Laws of Shift. And I'm showing you this because I'm telling you, if you would have asked me when I was in school, or if you would have asked me even 5 years ago, or if you would have asked me honestly last year, pre-COVID, I never knew that I would be here. But what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm paying attention to some of the things that I'm bringing to others. What are people talking about? What are people saying that I'm doing well, so that I can pay attention and decide, do I want to do more of that, or do I want to change it up? Do I want to, hashtag, you got it, shift? All right, so this is what I want to give to you. I want you to think about how you network. And network is a little bit different now that we're online. We're not able to meet in person. A lot of the pictures and events that you saw there were in person. So when you think about the art of networking, I want you to also think about, how do you reinvent yourself? One of the things that COVID has caused us to do is to force us to have to reinvent ourselves, have to think things through, have to slow down and reflect. I've heard in a lot of places, I have time to think because I'm not driving, because I'm not ripping and running. So how do you reinvent yourself? Here are some easy tips and ways. You can consider updating your profile, whether that be on your favorite social media platform. Mine by choice is LinkedIn, and I'm going to tell you all a little bit more about that. You can include updating your professional photo. When is the last time you've had a photo taken? Was it the one that you took, 5 years ago? Was it one that you took when the lighting wasn't so good? Make sure that you have a professional photo. Why? Because just being a part of this organization says that you're here to show up. So I want you to show up. I want you to show up with that professional photo, because you're in a place where you want people to see you for what you bring into the table. That eye-catching headline, I'm talking specifically about LinkedIn. Did you know that the first words that are beyond your name, all of those are keywords? So you want to make sure that those are a headline. So often I see folks who, put in they put their title after their name. And the title is giving the title and your company acknowledgement. I want you to tell me who you are. Remember, this is about reinventing you. Your company already has a name. It already has a profile, more than likely, a company page. But I want you to tell us who you are. What is it that you bring to your company? What skills do you have? Make that eye-catching. Include some of your accomplishments. I'm going to be very honest with you. When I am working with groups, I don't care whether I'm on stage facilitating a meeting, or doing a workshop for skill building, or doing one-on-one coaching. The biggest thing that I see with women are them being uncomfortable listing their accomplishments. Why? And I am specifically saying women because, again, this is from me doing the work and in my experience. We feel like, we can sometimes kind of we play shy, or we say, oh, I don't want to brag, or I don't want to seem like I'm coming off as I'm bragging. You put in the work, list your accomplishments, make that a part of reinventing yourself. And if you would love to connect with me, because I would love to connect with you, please make sure that you connect with me for additional tips I am going to offer to you, because we definitely, as Megan said, don't have enough time today to give you everything. So please connect with me on LinkedIn as, again, my platform of choice, so that I can give you some additional tips about the art of just getting that initial networking started. All right, I thought this was a pretty funny picture, right? Because you see all of these people, you see them standing looking at this body of water, and then you see this big, huge rubber ducky. Well, that is there to present to you that I want you to create your impact. I want you to show up like that big rubber ducky. That doesn't mean you have to show up loud. That doesn't mean that you have to show up as someone that you are not. That means you show up as your authentic self and create your impact. You lean into that. Look at that rubber ducky. That rubber ducky is leaning into who the rubber ducky is. So think about, how are you doing that? Is it because you have a particular skill or a strength, or you have a particular ability, or are you walking in your purpose? Just by you being in this organization, there are skills and strengths and talents that you bring that other people may not bring. So walk in that, bring your impact to the table. Don't be afraid to diversify your talent. What you probably saw at the beginning when I was listing some of the things that I've done in my accomplishments is that they're not all one-sided. They're not one industry. I work across industries. I have created something called a case study for each of the companies that I have worked with. Why have I done that? Because I'm able to show here is the link across all of those different sectors, whether it's education, whether it is oil and gas, whether it is healthcare, whether it is manufacturing. I'm able to bring the skill set from my talents. I'm clear on that. And I show how I'm doing it consistently across these companies. So if you, for example, have maybe worked at the school and now you're working at a job where you can, you have customer service skills, or now you're working on a project, maybe volunteering, count all of that as case studies. That's what I want you to consider. When you think about diversifying, consider relocating. I know this is a little tough now, with COVID, but this is a part of actually how I started my business. I started, and Ravi knows this, with Destination for Relocation. And what we did was I solved the problem of people who needed to relocate, leaders who needed to relocate. We solved that problem for them by helping them to reduce the amount of stress, reduce the amount of the unproductive tasks that are associated with moving. But relocating is a way to truly diversify your talent. You bring a completely different perspective to another city. I mentioned already crossing industries, and don't be afraid to request testimonials. If people see you, they know, love, and trust you, ask them, hey, would you be willing to write a testimonial for me? You never know how one day you can flip through your testimonials and they can help to not just build your confidence, but they speak to people. When they look you up, they speak to the people who are looking at those testimonials before they ever meet you. Your impact on others is the last thing that I want to leave you with. How do you become an influencer? So what I love about Instagram is it's great for pictures, it's great for communicating, it's a free form of communication where we can put ourselves out there. And we use this term influencer, micro-influencer. The reality is who you are in your circle, you can become an influencer. Don't allow the fact that you have 1 million followers or 100 followers to determine your worth. Become an influencer. Know what you're good at, and share information about that. Share thought leadership. Share your opinions and ideas. Don't be afraid to walk in it and learn more about the things that matter to you. Join meetups. That's another thing that you can definitely do online. Strike up conversations based on things that you have in common. So we've shared here a couple of the things that may be interest to us. So when you're clicking and connecting with me on LinkedIn, maybe share something that is interest to you or something that you and I have in common. And then here are a couple of groups where you can post or that may help you in your career search online. This is how we can also stay connected. Again, my name is Landy with an I, so that's Landy & Co. You can find me across any platform. I am so blessed and so appreciative of the opportunity to be able to be here with you today. I hope this is helpful for you. The QR code, if you're able to scan that on your screen, go ahead and scan that. I am going to send you a PDF as a follow-up of my commitment to making sure that you are walking in the success that you are destined to reach. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much for honoring us, Landy. And next up, Audrey.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Landy. That was an awesome, awesome testament to who you are and the way that we can build our skills as leaders. I truly appreciate that. And you gave valuable points, valuable information on, especially what I think is very important is the fact that you spoke about stepping outside the box and being okay with showing people who you really are and what you think about your creativity and how you want to express it to the world. A lot of people, young people, maybe even older people, we get into a box of so used to how society is ran that we close ourselves off and don't imagine and create. And I think that's the whole point of especially dealing with me being the president of the Innovation Club. I want people to be able to expand their wings and really create and change the world, because in the direction that the world is going currently, we need more creatives. So thank you for saying that. And I was like,
Can I just say one thing that stood out to me?
yes.
One thing that I thought that was really great to hear you say was how so many women are uncomfortable listing their accomplishments. So I thought that was really a huge one, that it's okay to stand, to not necessarily be boastful, but just humble in your achievements and what you have accomplished and the hard work that it took to put into that. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. And next up, we have Kanisha, as I get the slide together. Kanisha, are you there?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Kenisha, and Amanda, I'm very excited to do your introduction. I'm actually on SocialMama. So this is Amanda. Though a Boston native, Amanda quickly became a Houston woman to know. She is the innovator and CEO behind SocialMama, an app that is designed to connect moms to other moms. On SocialMama, you can connect with like-minded moms in your area seeking the same things you are. You find your village. In 2020, she expanded the app to also connect moms with experts in maternal health. SocialMama has been featured on Forbes, FinTech Times, Mommy Nearest, and more. Most recently, SocialMama has been invited and accepted into Techstars, where only less than 1% are accepted into Techstars. So congratulations to Amanda and SocialMama. Please welcome.
You guys are so sweet. Everyone's introductions. It's so true. I think what Landy said about the fact that we don't do a good job of owning our accomplishments. And even for me, sometimes when I hear these introductions, I think the whole time, like, this sounds boastful. Like, how did I do this? Like, I shouldn't have achieved this success. And I think that that's something that I'm really working on a lot, is that imposter syndrome, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. It was really going to be the theme to my conversation, but I'm going to take it a different direction, because Dr. Burillo said something that I have not thought about in years, and she mentioned Marie Curie. If I think back to being a little girl, the very first person that I was a fan of was Madame Curie. I thought she was, I was little, like 6 to 8 years old, and I thought the fact that this woman discovered radium, who was a Polish immigrant, like, that was shocking to me. And I don't think I've owned as an entrepreneur that I always was an innovator, in particular the word innovator, which is interesting to hear that was one of the things that I was described as today, because I've never felt like I was a scientist that was in the lab creating things. And that's something I'm really trying to own right now, that I am an innovator. When I think about all the people I was a huge fan with when I was young, like the Susan B. Anthonys and the Marie Curies, they were really all these revolutionary women that stood up before they saw women like them. And I am so proud just to be on a screen with such a diverse group of women today. I think we need to see more of that. I think a lot of us have fought to be here. And I think it's important to recognize that that's happening today in this conversation. And we all have to be responsible to make sure that the rooms that we're in look the way that they should, right? It's super important. And always know that you can stand up for that. So as you guys all grow in your career, if you look around the room, even if you're on a panel, I've done it myself. If you don't think it's diverse, say something. Get the people at that table that need to be there. So my story is definitely not planned. It's not typical. If you had told me this is what I was going to be doing 10 years ago, I definitely would have laughed at you, for sure. So my father was a very poor immigrant from Argentina. And he really fought his way up the ladder. He is a physician now. He's done incredibly well for himself. But when I was growing up, he really taught us 3 things. And it's the reason why I am who I am. First of all, education is the most important thing. Whether you were bringing yourself to a museum or you were going to college, it was all about education. That was your goal in life, was to get as much education as you can. So I know that for a lot of you on this call, just getting into the college was probably one of the hardest things you've ever done. I'm sure some of you still don't know how to pay your bills at the end of the month, but I promise you, education is the foundation that we all need. The second thing that he always told us about was you could hit absolutely any dream. Like, you could dream as big as you wanted to dream. And I don't know if we're all raised in worlds where people tell us you can be Oprah, you can be Marie Curie. Like, I think a lot of us are not raised by people that tell us that. And I'm telling you that, like, no matter what you want to do, you can do it. And trust me, the most famous basketball player, the most famous CEO, the most famous actress, none of these people are any different than any of us on this call. They all just worked really hard and drove hard. That is the only thing that is pushing them away from others. I tell people all the time that the only difference between an entrepreneur and somebody that has an idea is they took that one idea and they stayed so passionate and they worked so hard and they stayed on that one path. You have to be willing to pivot. That's definitely a part of entrepreneurship, but you pick that one thing and you strive and you stay so focused. And the reason why I say so focused is I think a lot of us, like when we see these really big successful companies, Virgin Airlines, Marriott Hotels, whatever it is, I think that we think that they were somewhat overnight successes because we've only known Airbnb for a couple of years, but Airbnb started 15 years ago. We just don't see that first 10 years of the company. It's not a brand that's recognizable at that point. So I think we all have to try to recognize as a society that it's not going to be an overnight success. And I will tell you, that's even conversations that I've had to have with my own friends and family to set them up for expectations, because they'll say things like, well, you've been doing this for 4 years. And, you know, like, yeah, you were in Wall Street Journal. Like, why don't you have 10 million people on your company? And I think, but that's just because it doesn't take 4 years. It is the smallest group of people that have overnight success. And I will tell you that I know that for a fact. So I'm in Techstars, which they mentioned before. And Techstars, I graduated in 2 weeks. So it's a very, very crazy time that I'm in literally right now. Because at the end of Techstars, what we do is we present to a lot of investors, like thousands of investors. And the goal is to get more funding at the end. But I have something that's really unique about my company, and it's that we don't make any money. So I have a business that doesn't make money, which is really bizarre and is weird to hear that I can have a business that 50,000 people are on and that nobody pays me for it. So I am seeking venture capital with no revenue. So to say that my path is a little bit difficult, it's very difficult because normally when you get in front of a venture capitalist, the first thing they say to you is, tell me what problem you're fixing and how much money you've made. And I have to tell them what problem we're fixing and then explain the value that we bring to how we can change the world and why one day that will make money. So no matter what you decide to do, I think even when it feels impossible, you can still do it. Because if you told me I was going to go raise millions of dollars for a company that did not have revenue, I would tell you were crazy. I didn't know that that's even possible. Before I had this app, I barely knew what venture capital even meant. I didn't know what Series A or Series B was, or what a venture pipeline was. Like, these were all things that actually Megan Eddings and I learned some of these things together as we progressed, you know, through business. We were lucky that we met around the beginning of both of our companies. She was really one of my first founder friends. But I think it's important that you just need to recognize that everybody else around you in the room also doesn't get it, is also faking it, also feels like an imposter, that they also had a moment where they didn't know what a pipeline was, and that there's a chance that the investor in front of you, this is the first pitch that they're ever hearing, and they've maybe never cut a check before to anybody. So you could be the first one. And I think it's so interesting how many of us walk into these rooms feeling like imposters, but then you realize that everybody else around the table feels the same way. And I really had this thought process that, like, okay, I feel like an imposter right now. I couldn't even tell people I was CEO. Just saying the title CEO felt boastful, felt like I was an imposter. Just saying that my title made me feel like an imposter. But what I had this imagination that, like, okay, I feel like an imposter now, but I'm not going to in a year, or I'm not going to in 2 years, or once I get into Forbes, I won't feel like an imposter, or once, but you know what? It never goes away, because then what happens is you're just sitting at a bigger table with people that have just achieved more societal things. You still feel like an imposter. So I think it's about owning it and taking a step back and learning that imposter syndrome is on the inside and it's not external, and that you have to tell yourself, I can do it. I can achieve this. It doesn't matter that somebody that doesn't look like me hasn't done this before, or I haven't been sitting across the table from somebody like that. None of that matters, because you feeling like you should sit at the table and own the table is up to you. It has nothing to do with the people that are around you. And really, like, when I think back, that's what my dad was always trying to tell me, that like, it doesn't matter that you're a first generation kid. It doesn't matter that you speak another language. Like, you belong there and you can do it. You just need to do it. But I think it was hard to really recognize that. And that's what I really want to share with you all today, is that even if the dream feels impossible, it's not. And that as you're going through the dream, every time that you feel like you're an imposter, just pinch yourself and take a step back, because you're not. And no matter what, like, you are when you start your entrepreneurial journey, you are going to be the expert in that room. Nobody is going to know more about your business or your industry than anybody else. And if you think that they might, then you need to get your butt on Google, like Megan was saying, and you need to know your market size, and you need to know your product market fit, and you need to know your competitors, because especially for the women who are on this call, you will get pushed on your numbers more than a lot of your male counterparts. You will not be able to get funding statistically as easy, and the stats are going backwards, not forwards. So you need to make sure that you are that expert, so that anytime that you start to get to that imposter syndrome and you pinch yourself, you just think, nope, I am the expert. Nobody knows this more than me. Nobody understands the gaps in the market. Nobody belongs here other than myself. And then one day when you get the accolades, celebrate them. My team cried when we got into Forbes, which was our first big national publication. And I remember thinking they were all silly, which is so crazy to say now. And it's all because I couldn't celebrate something exciting because I was embarrassed of the success. And that's so crazy. So let me tell you, we got in the Wall Street Journal. I went right to the liquor store and I bought a bottle of champagne and I popped it with my husband, because I learned the hard way that it is not easy to get press. And when you get it, even though press is like a little bit of a fake thing, I'm going to be honest with you, like, I've definitely learned that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're successful or not, but I definitely learned that it is an accolade that we should be proud of, because then forever, when you walk in the door, somebody says, as seen in Wall Street Journal. So it matters, so you should celebrate it and be excited. And you know what? Less than 1% of Latinas raise $1 million of venture funding, and I'm going to be one of those 1%. And when it happens, I'm going to be plastered everywhere, because I want other people to realize they can do it too. Is that my 10 minutes? Do you want me to keep talking? It's up to you. But yeah, but no, I'm so excited to be here. And that's really my biggest thing, is just like, you can do it, you guys. And the other thing too, is like, not only can you do it, but before you go into it, make sure that what you're doing is the right thing to do. Like, is the market big enough? Is there a gap in the market? Are you ready to do this for 10 to 20 years? Because most companies that are scalable exit between 10 and 20 years. So it's not a short path, it's a very long path. So think hard about what you get into. And then when you know that you found it, drill as hard as you can and just be ready for the roller coasters. Because I call Megan sometimes and it is up and it is down. And let me tell you, the first week of March when she was making masks, I went over to her house and I was watching her stuff hundreds of masks in a bags, and I was trying to stuff, and we were on phone calls, because it's important that you understand, like, there's going to be days when you're going to be pivoting in a day and stuffing thousands of masks into bags with your founder friends, because that's who shows up for you. So that's it for me, everyone.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I mean, there's a lot of points that we can take into our daily lives. I want to say that one thing that really stood out was, you know, the nature of this conversation is either landing the job or creating one. It's really a story of fulfillment. What will bring you and make you fulfilled? And so when you talked about your company, okay, we're not trying to make any money. We're not making any money. That's not what it's for. It puts the focus back on, well, why are you even doing this? You know, it's, you have to identify that problem. Is there a problem, and are you the one to solve it? And then sticking with it because you are an entrepreneur who stuck with it throughout. So I think it's a story of fulfillment, identifying a problem, and understanding that you are the person to fix it. You've identified that as well. So that's really powerful. Thank you so much.
Yes. I think what stuck out for me was the fact that you have an idea that seemed impossible to others. when you talk about not making no money, it's like, wait a minute, you're not making no money. And it's like, and you go in to get investments. And what you said to me, it was like you was giving me chill as you talk, because I sometimes deal with the imposter syndrome, and it is a internal thing. And I be feeling like, okay, I'm out of place. But I understand one thing for sure, that God don't make no mistakes. He always leads you and puts you in the places that you're supposed to be. And just as you speak about you, Megan, and Landy, is the three things that stuck out in the whole conversation for me was that everybody was put in a position and everybody was like, oh, just a little out of place or uncomfortable. But then all of a sudden, y'all start multiplying this position. You went from this position to another position to another position. How Megan was able to get contracts with the government, how Landy was able to land global deals, how you are in this tier, I believe you said it was called, and how you're able to now sit in front of investors. So it all started with just a simple idea and dream, and look how it manifests. Because a lot of things we have to realize is that it's not going to come how we plan for it to come. It's multiple ways in the way that it can come. You just have to be open to it. So I truly appreciate that story that touched home for me. It definitely did. Thank you.
This is Luisa Nadaraja. Hi, everybody. I'm the Vice President of the Innovation and Entrepreneurial Club. Amanda is a dear friend of mine, so I just want to make sure that all our listeners understand what SocialMama is. Maybe you want to say what you do in your app, because I'm also part of it. And maybe I just don't want people to get caught on the fact that you're not making any money. I want you to explain probably how in the future it'll be a profitable. I just don't want people to be caught in your company doesn't make any money right now.
Yes, no, totally. And I appreciate you clarifying that, especially because we are by no means a nonprofit. We are a for-profit company, but a lot of companies that operate around social networking, they focus on building critical mass before they launch their revenue model. So the way that Facebook didn't launch its ad model for 7 years, we're not an ad model, but we do intend on making money for sure. It's something I work on every single day, and I have 5-year financials. We operate the company off of 5 to 7 year financials, even though we are not revenue generating at the moment. So it's very strategic and intentional. It's by no means a nonprofit. So SocialMama is an app that connects women to the mom friends that they need and the licensed experts they can trust for support on their journey of motherhood. And it is part of the reason why we're still pre-revenue as well, as a lot of the women that we serve do face socioeconomic disparities. So we're right now working on building up that critical mass so we can continue serving them without charging them a monthly fee. And there's lots of amazing ways that we're going to be doing that soon. So, and the app's for free on the App Store or Google Play. So if you're a mom or a mom-to-be or an auntie or anything, please feel free to join the app and connect with women like you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Luisa. I'm sorry, Monica. Thank you for Luisa for stepping in and asking Amanda to clarify. I truly appreciate that. We're going to move on. Monica, did you have something to say?
I just wanted to say 3 things that stood out to me. You all mentioned the pivoting, and that Luisa clarified right down where you are with the app in terms of revenue. But one thing that I didn't know, and I think that it was really great of you to mention, was when Airbnb started 15 years ago. Right. So just think that it's popular now, but how many years, over 10, that they were still trying to develop this idea. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we don't realize, or we think that we're going to get the instant gratification. And I'm sure after 2 or 3 years, we're thinking, okay, now what's next? let me change to something different. So just to think that they stood with that for over 10 years before it actually became something big, I think that's a very key point. Thank you.
Yes, I think that's very well is a good key point to realize and point out. I would like to move on to Q&A by me and Monica. So we have questions for the ladies on the panel. And we would like for you to answer, I have questions for all three of you guys and then separately as well, if you're all okay with that. Let's get some dialogue going. Okay.
Well, while we get ourselves set up, I have one question, which is super simple. How can someone join SocialMama? So it's available for free on the App Store or Google Play. You just download the app onto your smartphone device.
Wonderful.
Audrey, can I jump in while we're pulling our questions up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So thank you for really sharing the journey, Amanda. I'm deeply moved for a couple of reasons. One is because sometimes, and I realized I was like, Landy, pull back and make sure you peel back the onion so people can hear and see that, again, you just don't start here. So let me go back a little bit. Being from Chicago, growing up, I wasn't the baby. I was the oldest of 5. My baby sister is 13 years younger than I am. And we grew up owning 8 different businesses by the time I was 20 years old. So when I think about sacrifice, when I think about the amount of work, like when the lights and gas and water were off last week, and you can hear me getting emotional, it reminded me of the choices that we had to make when we had to keep the store open and we had to keep the lights on in the store so we can generate the money to get the lights turned on at the house, right? So it took me back to that. It took me back to being cold in Chicago, because that sometimes were the sacrifices we had to make as a family of 7. So please do not take, the red glasses or lipstick as if though I have it all together and have always had it all together. That is 100% not the case. I can also speak to the fact that the reason why, so I talked about organized shift and coming out of a place of stress and seeing how Hurricane Harvey had people kind of like, okay, let me go back to work and look like I'm okay. So I could see what we were calling and talking about the imposter syndrome, but from leaders. I could see that people were trying to get back to work as if though things were normal, and they were not. And I started the business prior to that. I started it because I lost both of my parents at age 57. So very young, 4 years apart. I had 2 siblings who were still in college when my father passed away. And then 4 years later, I lost my mom at 57 years old. So I am committed to helping people to process and work through how to pivot, how to shift, how to help pivot your team, how to incorporate. Okay, we're talking about diversity. I don't know how to do that. I know who I know. How do I bring this in? How do I change the culture? How do I be the change that I want to see? I am committed to doing that, and while incorporating well-being and who we are and mindfulness and the things that come up for us, those things that you all are speaking to with this imposter. I'm so glad that you all have said, yeah, that's an issue. And I say you all because I want to remind you that I'm in here with you. I'm right here with you. It's exactly the reason why when I was like, open up a business, talking about shifting after you've lost everything, because to me, my parents were everything. And so starting from the bottom, now we're here. I'm just reminding you, I didn't just get here, and I have so far to go. And that is the reason why we're here, to share with you all, each and every one of you, pieces of the story that can help to encourage and inspire you and remind you to keep going. Literally keep getting up. Know that you are not alone. If you need to reach out for someone. Don't do it by yourself. But the fact that you are showing up today means that you're in the right place. So I just really wanted to speak into. Thank you, Amanda, for reminding me to show the story with the lipstick off and the glasses off and all of that good stuff. So thank you for sharing, because my father was truly the inspiration for so much of the work that I am doing today as well.
Beautiful. Just round of applause. Y'all are amazing. Y'all are amazing, because it is so much encouragement to hear y'all story, your journey, and to know where you come from, to, like you said, here we are now. Like I have a story of my own, and to be in this place with you ladies is a blessing. I thank you. I'm not gonna cry.
It's our blessing that you're here with us, and that's the great example of imposter syndrome. I would have thought that you just belong, and so it's an internal thing, right? Somebody had said to me just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody was like, anytime you feel like that, close your eyes and think back to how 3 years ago you'd be so shocked to how like where you are now. And I was like, that's such a good trick. Just think back to 3 years ago, and you'd be so impressed where you were today.
I'm gonna use that. Yeah. Monica, you ready? Is Megan still here?
Hello,
I'm sure
hello.
she is. I love Megan energy. It's like a ball of fire.
I've been called worse. Yeah.
Okay, so I have questions for you guys. The first question we're going to start out with, and it's for all 3 ladies. What was your first job? The question
I'll
was,
take it. Yeah, mine
Okay.
was, so growing up with no money, my dad made $26,000 a year, and there were 3 kids, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so, but I always liked things. And so my parents said, all right, you got to get a job. So my neighbor had a paper route that he did, and it was every Sunday morning at 3:30 in the morning. He would drive to the paper route, get like 200 papers, stuff them, and all that. I'm like, well, I can help. And he said to me when I was like 8, he's like, no, you can't. He said, because if you're sitting on the back of the truck throwing out papers, I can't see you. You're not tall enough for the rear view mirror. So not until I was 10 years old was I tall enough. And so at 10, I started going every Sunday at 3:30 in the morning to the paper route with my neighbor and stuffing papers and throwing them.
Wow. That's pretty big. Do you want each of us to answer them, or do you want to go to the next question?
So that question is for all 3 who started.
Oh.
Where was your first job? I just curiosity and to break the ice and for other people to know.
So the first job that I can remember is what we know today as Instacart, or what we've been doing with all this grocery delivery. We had a business where we met the need for seniors who, in Chicago snowstorm, if you know anything about Chicago and the hog and the snow, we literally helped, we dropped off and delivered groceries to elders, to elderly people in Chicago. And so I remember my dad would go pick up groceries from the wholesalers, the market there. And, so you would have these big stores, like let's say HEB, loading their trucks, and it would be us. And we're loading, 10 cases of milk, or, 10 cartons of eggs. But this is how, we took care of meeting a need. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. What kind of question is that, girl?
It makes you go back.
Yes, that was my first job. And I used to be able to ring up on a little calculator thinking it was my first cash register. So.
Yeah, because when we started our first job, or first job we ever had, it really was a milestone to build us up to where we are now.
That's absolutely right, Audrey. And even today, one of my mentors told me, look, so I have mentors, I have coaches as well. Don't let it fool you. I'm telling you. One of my mentors told me, like, Landy, do you realize your ability to see a need and meet it? Like, that's what you do. You literally go after this. That's what your father did. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is kind of true. It's a food desert. Let's bring the food to them. So yes, ma'am, you're right.
What about you, Amanda?
So my first job was not technically a job, but I thought that it was, which was obviously the purpose of why my parents gave it to me. So I know I mentioned earlier that my dad was a physician. My parents are not money people. Like, they didn't buy luxury cars. Like, you would never have known that they were comfortable financially, like at all. Like, they drove beat up, old Toyotas and whatnot. So I really believed until I was 16 or 17 that we were, I knew we weren't poor, but I really didn't know that we were comfortable at all. I should have, because we went on these like trips, and maybe I should have figured out that like not everyone goes to Africa for spring break, but we were slumming it, doing safaris. Like, so to me, that made sense. Anyways, at 12 years old, my mother and my dad thought that work is the #1 way to instill value, which is why I'm so hardworking. And I worked 3 days a week after school at a florist shop, helping them to take the thorns off the roses and sweep. And they paid me in Beanie Babies. I don't know if you guys remember, but TY Beanie Babies were all the rage. And it was like, you know, a bear was like $100. So I used to get paid in Beanie Babies. And I did it for 2.5 years. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love it. I love it.
I love this question because it's a lot of younger students that will view this and that are attending this as well. And so that they can have some inspiration to see where they are right now and where they could be if they do follow through with those dreams and make those, you know, make those necessary pivots. So I really love that question. The question that I have for you ladies is, what interpersonal skills did you need to hone to be successful in your careers?
I'll start on that one. And Amanda, you're next. So let me say it like this. Being the oldest of 5, I was bossy. I was very, very bossy. And it wasn't from a place of anything other than I actually, you know, when you think about business and what we're talking about today, learning who you are, you know, deciding what that looks like, and then going out and putting it out in the world and making money from it and creating this life from it. One of the things that I can see now is that by growing up in business, there wasn't really a distinction for me between my home life and my work life. So when I hear imposter syndrome and things like that, I understand, Landy, hey, that's where the connection is. That's where the gaps are. That's where you need to help fill in, because that is an issue. We're getting all this education, and now we're like, okay, but I don't know how to do this job. I just have this education, right? And so how do we help to fill in the gaps? So applying that to being a leader, what I had to learn to do was, when I raise my hand and say I'll go first, or, you know, I'll kick down the doors and be the only one who looks like me or the youngest one in the room so many times, that I had to learn that that was okay. And that's what leaders do. And I also had to learn that it was okay to sometimes take off my mask of leadership. So, you know, there are so many literally hundreds of thousands of books on leadership. Everyone has an idea, a concept to tell you how to be a leader. And working with leaders is that we are all leaders. It's not just a title. It is not just because you have letters behind your name or in front of your name that makes you a leader. It's all something that is within us. So I had to learn how to harness the softer side of myself in order to leverage that for my leadership side. So as I said, you heard, you know, even in my presentation, I'm formal, I'm giving you all this, I'm doing this. I was like, Landy, yeah, but here's the thing, tell the story, pull back. Let them see that leaders also need to be able to connect to being a human. Mm-hmm. So that interpersonal skill wise, I would say 2 things. One is harnessing the power of your vulnerability. The fact that you can be a human, that you can feel and connect to people, that's a strength. That is such a strength. And then the other thing is, if they call you bossy, use it.
Okay, ladies, because we getting close to 3 and we still have gift cards and things to give away. So I want to ask the other 2 ladies some more questions, as well as we have questions from the audience. So I want to get to everything. So we might tone down the 6 questions that we had prepared. Is that fine with you, Monica?
Yes, it is. And if we have to, we could push the Kahoot to the end and make sure that we answer all of the questions. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. So the question that I wanted to ask Amanda was, what motivated you to make the shift in your life?
That's a really hard question, because I don't think there was any singular like aha moment that happened that made me shift. I mean, from like a really tangible aspect, whether or not you're going to make money day one as a company owner, or whether you're taking the path that I am, you do need to have a house over your head. You do need to have food at your table. And one thing I would say is that before you make that official shift into entrepreneurship, if that's what you're thinking about doing, it could take a lot longer to make enough money to pay yourself a salary than you might think. So make sure that you have that security and really have a foundation of a good financial model so that you really can understand when you can take in that salary. So I think it was a little bit more about that. When did it make sense for my husband and I for me to leave my full-time job? Because I was a successful director of luxury hotels before I made the change. So I think it was more looking at the finances and figuring out, okay, now it's time to take the risk, really.
Hey, that's smart. I also want to ask Dr. Burillo, if it's okay with you, Dr. Burillo. Is Dr. Burillo still there? I see her.
I'm here.
Okay, Dr. Burillo, I wanted to know, how did you know you made it in your career? What was it that defined that success for you?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but you know, the day that I was the most humble was when I was given the opportunity to be a college president on an interim basis. You know, like the panelists, there's certain pathways that you think you got to do certain things. And I thought I had to be, 65 or 60 to be a college president because I've always seen, people in those positions to be a certain age. And so I always thought, okay, I'm not going to be a college president until I'm like, close to retirement. That's when that opportunity may come up. And when I had someone knock on my door and said, what are your plans? What are your career plans? And I said, well, I said, someday I'd like to be a college president, but I kept thinking that was going to be so far away, right? Like it was almost unreachable, right? It was a little dream, but I didn't think it was possible. Not at that moment, right? And so someone said, well, so-and-so is retiring, and we were talking among ourselves, and we thought you would be a good person to go in on an interim basis. And, after they called me, I sat down and I was all by myself, and I thought about my parents. I thought about the journey. I was kind of happy, but I was sad that they were not there to see it. And then I thought every step that I've taken along the way, right, which is what I told you all in my poem, I realized every step that I took along that I had taken had prepared me for that day, have taken me there, but I didn't know that I was being taken to that moment, right? So, and I always said, you never know, and there were moments that they were very hard, as every one of the panelists here have said, there are things that sometimes happen and it wasn't what you were thinking. There were people along the way that told me, oh, that'll never happen, right? But I think holding on to that dream and to dare to dream of something for you and to have that vision. So when someone comes in and knocks on your door and says and asks you the question, do you want to do this? That you're ready to say, yes, I want to do that. And I'm ready. I'm ready to do that, right? To have the confidence to say that. So, I think that was my moment. That I felt like, okay, whatever I've done across, in my pathway brought me here today. So, and I felt, and I still do today, feel a great responsibility to pay it forward. And that's why I'm so passionate about each one of you and about starting the student clubs and to have you have an opportunity to hone your leadership skills. And it's hard because sometimes you doubt yourself, right? Speaking in public was really hard for me because English was not my first language. And so I always was very conscious about that, and I felt bad about it. Until one day I said to myself, why am I feeling bad about that? I should feel proud. And two, it makes me different than other people. So people will remember me because of my accent, but hey, that's okay. They'll remember me. So I turned the attitude was internally. Forget what other people say. And I realized the power of our own words to ourselves can make a difference, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. So I hope I answer your questions.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. That is truly, truly important that our own words will cause more damage than anybody else's words.
Yeah.
Just make sure we speak kind and gentle to ourselves and don't hold on to other people's opinions. Our opinions, the only opinions that matter. For sure. I have another question. It said,
Let me just
Oh, okay,
say, I'm
sorry.
sorry. I just want to say, Dr. Burillo, I love that you mentioned public speaking. English is my first language, and I struggle with that. That's what, and I think that that has a lot to do with going back to the imposter syndrome,
Right.
and confidence. Thank you.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Okay, I
And
have
you
a
just have
question.
to put yourself out there and do it like you're doing today. And
Mhm.
someday you're going to feel like, I'm just doing it.
Mhm.
I definitely understand that because when Mr. Ravi asked me to be the president, I was like, president of what, Mr. Ravi? What are we doing? I didn't know. I was like, I don't, this wasn't the goal. I came to school to learn business because I wanted to grow my business. I never imagined to be at this point.
Well,
where
I
I'm
do want to say something about you, Audrey, because we've been mentioning so many beautiful stories of so many beautiful women here. But I do want to say that Audrey has this wonderful business that she sells beauty products for the hair, right?
Yes, hair care product.
And she's a single mom of 3 children.
Yes, I am.
She's studying at HCC. So she's also a member of this huge member of this club, the president. So I just want to say, cheers to you, Audrey. You are doing amazing, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you. Thank you for real because it be hard, juggling life and kids and business and just journeying and then also dealing with imposter syndrome, sitting around people that you like they accomplished so much. I grew up in the hood, and dealt with a lot of diversities and being black and as well as being overweight and making fun of and everything. And to be here and to be in a place that God placed me to be is a blessing. Thank
I'm
you. I'm
proud of
I'm
sorry.
you,
honored to work
Audrey.
next to you, Audrey. I'm so honored to be working with you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I truly
Audrey,
appreciate it.
not enough women like you start businesses. And if women like you don't start businesses, we don't get the solutions for the problems that women like all of us are having. That it's so important to society that you're doing it. Like total rock star. You're a social mama, 100%.
Yeah, I was looking like I got it on SocialMama now. Yes, 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 yes. And that's the whole point of my business. I started because of my daughter lost her hair, and I seen how she was affected in her confidence, and I cut my hair, and I was like, I built it up to even to be where she can be confident, and it was like a boost of her confidence overall with me and her. And I decided, I was like, well, the product I made all and it grew her hair back in a month. And I was like, oh wow, it worked. And I was like, do it work? Do it really work? It work? And I was like, you know what? Instead of just selling all, I'm not selling you all. I'm building up your confidence. I want you to love yourself enough that no matter what shape and form your hair is in, that you still are confident enough to go into the world and do what you need to do. And that's my goal, is to spread, confidence. I'm not only just healing you, I'm not only just healing your crown, I'm healing you as well. That's the goal. But thank y'all for this opportunity.
What's the name of your company?
It's called VG Hair Care. It's Virgin Hair Care, but we just make it short. V as in Victor, G, and then hair.care. Yes.
I'm following you on the gram.
Thank you.
Beautiful, yeah, beautiful page.
Yes, thank you. I've been working hard on my content, building it up and everything. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, Luisa, because I wasn't
I was
planning
gonna
on
say
telling
thank
you.
you, Luisa, for calling her out. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But moving right along, I'm going to ask this question. I think is very important. Is there a way to find business grants? One of the participants would like to know.
I guess I could go, well, Amanda and I might say the same thing. So unfortunately, there's not a centralized website to go for all business grants. If there was, that would be like my part-time job. I mean, but I can, from experience and how I met Amanda is Hello Alice. So literally, if you just type in, I think it's helloalice.com.
I'm double checking right now.
Yeah. Because this is like, they post loads of.
And it's early stage too, which is great.
Like just, yep. Hello Alice, ALICE, like Alice in Wonderland.com. And then you sign up for their newsletter. So they have them in there, but then you sign up for their newsletter and they literally email like the new grants that they found, you know, for that week. Yeah, it's that, yes.
That's good. That's good right there.
Like I'm
Also,
yeah. Like even on their homepage, it says $10,000 grant in virtual mentorship to apply. So that's on their homepage. So yeah, that's my quick nugget.
I'm definitely about to use Hello Alice.
A couple others that I would want to add, not necessarily for direct grant opportunities, but for access to grants that people come to. So there's a Women Business Center here in Houston, WBE. There's a Minority Business Center, MBEs. These are entrepreneur centers. HCC has an amazing entrepreneur center. I don't know if you all use and tap into it. Amazing. I actually just started working as an advisor for one of the folks who are going through the business plan competition. I know, Megan, you went through it. Amanda, I don't know if you went through it, but HCC is doing amazing work. So don't overlook where you are today is the other thing. And the other thing right now, innovation, just like Amanda was saying, you know, with the numbers, you know, so for African-American women, I know this because I'm taking my solutions and putting tech with that, putting data with that, scaling. So I didn't have to start with a app, right? So with something to do, I can build and grow from that. And so there's so much, if you just literally start to look at innovation, put in technology. Houston is growing our innovation hub and our innovation center. And I'm telling you, a couple of years from now, maybe 2 to 3 years from now, mark my words, we will be known as a center of technology. Amazon is right down the street in Austin. There is a lot to do here. So you all are in the right place, and know that the skills that you are getting now, you'll be able to transfer and pivot. You'll be like, oh, I'm very analytical and I know how to look at things. Oh, let me apply that to cybersecurity now. Like literally though, you're in the right place. So don't be afraid to tap into some of the resources that are right in your backyard.
Thank you for that. I also want to shout out another club at ACC, Women in Technology, the WIT. They are doing major things as well with just propelling the technology and getting women more involved and realizing that they're able to make money with that. I know Monica can speak more on that better than I can.
Yes, I was going to say this event just ties us all together, really. Women in technology, they're doing amazing things here. A lot of innovative women that are a part of that organization as well. So if you guys have not, I would encourage, and they also work with diverse backgrounds. You don't have to be a technology major in order to benefit from some of the things that are going on. And Maturia Johnson is the advisor for that, and she also is really big with the data science.
And their president is Claudia. What's Claudia last name?
Claudia Hernandez.
Hernandez.
Yes. So that's Women in IT, or WIT, you will see it as. And I will note that here just shortly, the link.
Yeah. I have another question for you ladies. Do y'all know about any competitions that's that other get small business companies can join or be a part of? Any, I guess, like how Megan gave Hello Alice. Do y'all know anything like that?
Go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, no, I was going to say Hello Alice is a great place to find, really to find the list of all these things. And it's really nationwide. It's not just the Houston ones, which is exciting.
Okay.
And yeah, and that would be what I would add. So there are some things that are local, and then there are many, many things, especially because it's a pandemic, especially because so many things are remote now. So there are a lot that are online that you can find. Listen, Pharrell just did something where he was promoting and helping businesses. I just put my information in the chat. You all please connect to me because anything that I get access to, I'm going to share. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have my team to share that. Pharrell did something. You all probably know about the Bay Good Fund. There's money that are going out for their, let me say this, pitch competitions. So I think, who said that they had a fear of speaking?
Monica.
Okay. So pitch competitions are great practice, not just for refining your business, but you get feedback. People generally tell you what made sense. It also helps you build your own confidence. The way that Amanda kind of leaned into, this is what I do, this is what we do, here's how we do it. That very succinct, short, and concise way of saying it, you can develop and be a part of pitch competition. So be open to that. The small business plan competition is a great way to pitch your business. There's the Urban League. I know Div Inc. DIVINC is another resource here. I know that they're building the ION. That is something that they're still developing and working on to make sure that the resources are accessible to everyone there. So there is so much out here. You know, I think Megan spoke to it very well. She said it could be a part-time job looking at all the resources that is so true. But tap into one or two and just do that well and see. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to pitch. Don't be afraid to join a meetup and get out there. When I say don't be afraid, it's taking that step. You're here. You're here. That's the step.
Yes.
I also want to bring up, I just came across a very successful story that found a mentor at this website that I just sent in the chat called score.org. She said that she found a mentor and now she opened a successful, in the middle of the pandemic, store in New York City. So for free mentorship, if you're having a project that you need to work on, that's apparently a good website that I heard a success story from.
I love Score. I mean, I don't use it much anymore, but I did in the beginning, and it was free. And there's just basically mentors. Most of them are retired, and they all have whether it's an attorney, marketing, supply chain, and they just give of their time and donating their time to budding entrepreneurs.
And I know we're coming up on our 3:30 marker. We just surpassed it by 2 minutes. But just in closing, I would like to ask each of you ladies one question. A lot of students like myself are non-traditional students. So we've already been to school, we've already kind of worked our careers, and we're making the pivot in our careers right now and going back and changing to, I would say what I'm doing is changing more to what my passion is. So when you're faced with failure, how do you stay motivated to push you to keep going? May I ask?
I'll start with that one. It's not easy. So, it's not easy. I try to say that depending on the degree of failure, I give myself 10 minutes to kind of, cry, fetal position, whatever it is, take a nap and then dust it off and keep going. And then sometimes it's not that easy. But you just gotta just keep going and just take one day at a time and know that there's light. I say to everyone, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and every failure, I forget who said it earlier, but every failure, every success, every mishap is going to lead you to greatness. And I believe it might've been Audrey, I forget who said it about, God doesn't make any mistakes. So even in failure, he is setting you up for something great.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Monica, do you have anything else before we move on and just play the game real quick so we can give out these gift cards
Yeah,
to
no,
the participant and we can do our closing remarks and go
I
from
would,
there?
if it's okay, I would propose to go ahead and do the closing remarks now and thank these ladies, just being respectful of their times. And for the students that would like to stay behind and participate in the trivia, we'll go ahead and present it.
No problem. Let's do the closing remarks then.
Also, if you did have a question, since we do not have time to answer them all now, if you would put them in chat, and Audrey and myself can go ahead and relay those to these ladies, and then we will return, answer those for you in email.
So first and foremost, I want to thank you all for coming and just allowing yourself to be open and vulnerable with us and talking about your business, your journey, and all the milestones y'all have accomplished. I want to give everybody on the panel a round of applause because y'all are amazing women, and also to come together as women, okay? To come together as women and to work together and to love on each other and build each other up is phenomenal. Okay, it's no cattiness, it's no bickering, it's just nothing but outpour of love and encouragement and gratitude. I truly appreciate that. And with that being said, I am Audrey Mitchell, the president of the Innovation and Entrepreneur Club. I would love for y'all to join our club to become an innovator like myself and a creator like myself. Here, our information is on this slide. And I just want to thank the ladies once again for being here. Anything you want to say, Monica?
I would also like to thank you all for being here. And if you would like to join the Computer Science Association or to join with, you can do that via our new Ego Experience website, HCC Presence. If you would like to connect with the Computer Science Association, our email is not there. I'll drop it in chat. We are dit.csa@hccs.edu. Mess that up. Okay. And you can also find us on LinkedIn, the Computer Science Association. We are also on Yammer now, as the Computer Science Association. And we are honored to have been able to take a part in this and share, like she said, you phenomenal ladies, this inspirational story that you all have. And I know I have learned so many different things that I will be applying to my own entrepreneurial journey as well.
Thank y'all once again. I truly appreciate it.
And thank you, Dr. Burillo. We know that you're
Yes.
extremely busy, so we'd like to thank you for taking the time to share with us today.
Thank you for having me. This was great. This was a great event, and thank you again to our panelists. Y'all were amazing.
Thank you, Dr. Burillo. We appreciate you all. Keep doing what you're doing, ladies. Let's make this month count.
Yes. So we, if it's no further questions or anything else, ladies, y'all are free to go. Any participants that would like to stay back and play Kahoot and win some gift cards, you're more than welcome. And if we have any questions, all the ladies' information is in the chat. You can reach out to them personally. Thank y'all. Bye, Dr. Burillo. Bye. All right, bye, Megan. Mr. Ravi, how can we see the participants where we can play the game with them?
We can see them.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not able to. Okay, so Monica, go ahead, take it away.
Okay, just one moment. I will share my screen.
Somebody asked for the link for CSA.
Oh, let me share those and share my screen. One moment. And I'll share those links in chat in just a moment. Let me go ahead and start the game first. So as you guys are getting started, and we'll go ahead and do that. One moment.
Mm-hmm. And explain how Kahoots go for the people that doesn't know. I think you're on mute, Monica, or we can't hear you.
Are you able to
Okay.
see my screen? Am I sharing?
No.
Okay, one moment.
Okay.
Am I sharing now?
I don't see it. Hold on, there's something trying to come through.
Okay, are you guys able to hear and see?
We can hear you, but we can't see your screen.
Okay.
Okay, there
Yeah,
we go.
we can see it.
Okay, so what we're going to do is have everyone to log onto kahoot.it, or if you already have the Kahoot app, then we want to put those numbers into the login. It's going to be 252-2148 if someone can drop those in chat.